So let me understand this. Let me understand this. This is a screenshot from the footage that the Bucks, Tony Khan, and AEW showed last night during Dynamite. Hold on for a second. My apologies, but like I said, this here, the screenshot from the footage that Tony Khan and AEW decided to show last night, via the Young Bucks. This is the footage that pretty much, well, the screenshot is, like I said, from the footage. But the footage you showed last night, basically that's what caused CM Punk to get fired, or make him walk out and quit. Look, you can agree or disagree on whether or not what CM Punk did was right. You could say that he didn't have the right and shouldn't have done what he did to Jack Perry. And some would say he does have the right. He does have the justification. No matter how you view it, Jack Perry basically pushed one button too many on this man. We can see that. I mean, everybody knows CM Punk, in and out of the ring, no matter where he works at, is a very volatile person. He keeps to himself. He's very respectful. He loves to, help out where he can and everything. Especially when it comes to, building the future for the business. But he's also a very volatile person if you push the wrong buttons. If you push the wrong buttons, he's going to, let you know it. And he'll let you know it in a way that, as he put it on the MMA Hour, you're not going to like seeing. And that's what he did. He basically lashed. Yes, it was wrong for him to lash out the way he did, but Jack Perry pushed his buttons. He pushed his buttons to an extent that he said, okay, you want to F around? I'm gonna make you, find out, what happens when you F around with the wrong person. And that's what occurred. No matter how you view it, whether you want to, defend CM Punk for what he did, not defend it, defend AEW and the Bucks and Perry, for what they did or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because all this really was nothing more than a ratings ploy. I mean, Tony Khan said it himself, in the Sports Illustrated interview. It was done to garner interest and investment in the Dynamite, in the Dynamite show, Collision by extension, Rampage by extension, and most importantly, Dynasty. And you know what's crazy about this? Is this basically, and I talked about it briefly, after I saw it, and others have talked about it when they, looked over last night's Dynamite and everything. But myself and a lot of others look at this as a misfire. We look at this as a misfire by AEW, by Tony Khan, by the Bucks and whoever else was involved in airing the footage. We look at it as a misfire, not just a desperation for, ratings and all that, which it was. Not because they wanted to garner interest and investment in the product, no. This, nothing more, was something that they thought, hey, we're going to be able to do all that, but mostly, stick it to CM Punk, show everybody visually how bad of a person he is, and all it did in the long run was basically hurt you. It hurt you in the long run, and you are getting numerous amounts of backlash now because of what you did. You're getting numerous amounts of backlash because of this, because basically, Tony Khan, let's be honest, you cannot let go. And I'm not talking letting go of, CM Punk, lunging at you, as you put it, putting your life in danger. You can't let go of the confrontation that we saw in this footage that he had with Jack Perry, or the brawl out situation. No. You see what this really is, folks, when you get down to it, is AEW's being petty. Now, yes, WWE and TNA, and when they were around WCW and ECW, they showed they could be petty too. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of historical examples in the past 30, 40 plus years of that being the case. There's no getting around that, all right? But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. When Vince McMahon would do those billionaire TED skits and everything, and he had two guys coming out, as parody versions of Hogan and Savage, was he doing that because, Hogan and Savage upset him? they lunged at him. They brawled with other people in the back and all that. No. Did he do that because, he misses them? No. He did that because he was sending a message to WCW that you're relying on the old generation and not the new generation, not the younger stars like we are. That was the message he was sending. Tony Khan, on the other hand, isn't sending a message to try to prove he's right and CM Punk's wrong. No. Tony Khan, when people say he needs to let go, I honestly believe what it is with Tony Khan is he's lashing out at Punk because of the fact that Punk in his eyes, forced his hand to fire him. And he didn't want to fire him. I mean, Punk said it himself. Punk said it himself in the interview with Ariel Helwani. Punk said it himself. He told, Tony Khan numerous times, this isn't working, let me out of my contract, let me go. Tony Khan said, no, I need you. We got this new show coming out, we need you for that. We're going to separate the rosters, and, Collision's going to be your show, and your Comrade show, and And CM Punk told him, numerous times it wasn't going to work. And guess what happened? It ended up proving CM Punk right. It blew up in it blew up in Tony Khan's face. It did. It blew up in his face. And why? Because Tony Khan would not listen to reason and let the guy go. And you know what's crazy is when I heard CM Punk say that, it confirmed in my mind, and I'm sure it confirmed in everybody else's mind, exactly what Tony Khan is. Tony Khan is a possessive, he is a possessive individual that when he signs somebody to a contract, no matter how many years it's for or how much it's for, that when the contract comes up, he's almost immediately, not even a year, not even a few months before the contract expires or on the said month of contract expiring, Tony Khan is literally, digging into his file cabinet and picking out, the new contract he has set up for said talent. You know why? Because he is a possessive, obsessive individual that looks at these talents exactly as a lot of people look, have described him being. He looks at these talents as, let me see, what can I use for an example? Okay, here we go. He looks at these talents like collectible figures going, mine, mine, nobody takes, mine, mine. That's what he's looking at. Well, that's how he views them. And CM Punk is one of those individuals that saw through that. CM Punk is one of those individuals that saw through that. And I guarantee you, there's a lot of other men and women on that roster whose contracts are going to be up within this year, if not next year, that see that too and can't wait to get the hell out of there. Because now they're seeing that Tony Khan is nothing more than a possessive, obsessive man-child that basically doesn't want to let people go unless his hand is forced. And that's what happened with CM Punk. He did not want CM Punk to leave. He did not want to come out and say, I fired him with cause. My life is in danger. No, you think he wanted to do that? No. He wanted to keep Punk. Even when Punk said, let me go, this isn't going to work, he didn't want to. This is all Tony Khan's fault. JD of Off the Script said it best. It begins and ends with Tony Khan. The decision to air the footage, whether the Bucks were all for it or not, depending on who you believe. The decision to have Will Ospreay take a shot at Triple H and what Triple H said on the Pat McAfee show and everything, whether that was his decision or not, depending on who you believe, it all begins and ends with Tony Khan. And people have gone on record, according to JD, that, Tony Khan looks at Paul Levesque, Triple H, as a major foe, as someone he just despises with a passion. And here's the thing, Tony Khan has no one but himself to blame for what's going on right now, okay? For the direction that, AEW is going in. I mean, everybody said it best yesterday, just like I did. It seems they're taking a few steps forward, which was good, and suddenly you go this direction, and you're taking, 10 or 12 steps back, if not more so. And that's not a good look when you're taking 2 or 3 steps forward, but you times that by 20, going steps back. And Tony has no one but himself to blame. He has no one but himself to blame because honestly, again, he hasn't gotten over the fact that he had to basically be forced. His hand was forced, if you will, in firing CM Punk. And he's not going to come out and admit that, but we all know it's true. If you take into account what Punk said on the MMA Hour on how he originally wanted out, but Tony Khan wouldn't let him. You know, he hasn't gotten over that. He hasn't gotten over the fact that Cody, the new undisputed WWE champion, Cody Rhodes, left his company along with Brandy and pretty much took everything Nightmare Family Factory-wise, along with him, sort of. He hasn't gotten over that. And mostly, he cannot adjust. He cannot adjust to the fact that he is no longer going up against Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is gone. He's now going up against Triple H, who basically, in all rights, in all personal rights, has, a reasoning to want to stick it to Tony Khan. Because Tony Khan forced NXT under Triple H's watch to be moved to Tuesday nights and thus forced it out of his hand and into the hands of Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. Which basically it's now just recovering from under Shawn Michaels. Tony Khan has no one but himself to blame for Triple H going at him and basically now in charge of the whole damn thing in WWE side, on the WWE side of the pond, basically, garnering the fan interest and support, away from AEW because they're doing what AEW originally was supposed to be doing from the get-go, but has lost their track in doing. Basically, they've lost direction, basically, in doing this. You see, it all begins and ends with him, and how it begins and ends with him is for him to get over the fact that Cody's not there anymore. It begins with him to get over with the fact that CM Punk's not there anymore. It starts and ends with him to get over the fact that, hey, he's not facing Vince McMahon anymore. He's now facing Triple H. And oh, by the way, just like they did for Triple H and WWE and motivated them to become what they are now, and let's not disagree. That was, we have to give him credit there. Now he has to take that same situation and use it to motivate his company to get to where they need to get to, but he's not doing that because he can't get over the fact that Punk and Rhodes are gone from the company, and the man he was having success with, Vince McMahon, is no longer there. And the man who is there is basically getting his vengeance on him for basically knocking his NXT show off Wednesday nights. I guarantee you right now, there are people in the back, at AEW, wrestlers, officials and all that are probably telling him, man, maybe you should have chose to go to Tuesdays or Thursday nights instead, and you wouldn't be dealing with this shit. But he didn't listen. He decided, I want to go head-to-head with NXT, prove I'm better. Oh yeah, you proved you're better because you were the new hot toy on the block. Don't get me wrong. But what happened over time? Especially when you saw in 2022 what you were about to face, or what you were on the verge of facing if he did get total full control, which, oh, by the way, he now has. And, oh, by the way, who else is helping him out as well? Let's see. The Rock? That's a two-punch knockout combo if I've ever seen it. And Tony Khan has no one but himself to blame. Because he should have known the moment WWE started to gain this momentum and they were starting to sell out arenas to the point now to where the setup we've been seeing, for Raw and SmackDown is going to be the setup going forward because of the expected massive sellouts. The moment Tony Khan got wind of that, that's when he should have basically got on his high horse, and talked to the people that he, encircles himself with to basically ask them, okay, what do we do to keep on par with WWE? What do we do? But he didn't do that. He did not do that, and now look where they're at. They are barely, they are still booking these big venues of 1,500 plus, 1,900 plus seats, and they're only getting 3,500, 4,000 5,000 at most people? That's pathetic. That's embarrassing. I mean, look, I'll give them credit. The arena they got booked for Dynasty, that's the right direction to go in. Don't get me wrong. But all the other venues, Arthur Ashe Stadium for Forbidden Door? Ugh. I don't know if they're going to be able to sell that out. The point that I'm getting at, is Tony Khan needs to, we've said it before, Tony Khan needs to grow up. Somebody needs to take him to the side, whether it's Bryan Danielson, Adam Copeland, his own father, or even freaking David Zaslav, take him to the side and go, whack, right across the face and knock some sense into him and tell him, grow up and start being a boss and stop whining and complaining that you don't have certain people anymore and that you're not going up against a senile sicko of an old man. That's what they need to do. That's what somebody needs to do, because honestly, if they don't, this crap's going to keep going. I mean, JD and everybody else has said it best. Oh, this was done for a ratings ploy, showing this footage. Okay, fine. What about next week and the week after? You better have something good in mind. You better have something good in mind to keep that rating momentum you'll get from this, going. You better have something good in mind, because if not, you're screwed. You're screwed. And you know what? I super chatted this to Toonie Town Wrestling, to Marvin the Movie Monster. Check him out. Very good channel. And I super chatted it to Solid Monster. Shout out to Solid Monster as well. It does a great job. Check his show out too. But I said it best in that. It was the same super chat, but I said it best in it. That AEW, because of crap like this, because of stupidity like this, if you will, stupidity like this. Okay, I'm trying to make sure you see it. With my fingers pointing anyway. But anyway, because of stupidity like that, because of desperation like that, I would not be surprised that when they get the media rights deal to remain with the WBD, that instead of saying, Dynamite on TBS, Collision on TNT, Rampage on TBS, you know what it's going to say? It's going to say, because they pull crap like this, it's going to say Dynamite on True TV, Collision on Discovery Channel, Rampage in our syndicated markets. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen, and they got no one but themselves to blame. No one but themselves to blame. Tony has no one but himself to blame, for that happening. The Bucks have no one else but themselves to blame for that happening. And again, despite what you hear, we the people who are okay with it being shown because they knew that's going to help them out and everything, or they weren't okay. The one common denominator that comes out of all of this, from all sides, Fightful, Wrestling Observer, PW Insider, what have you. The one common denominator that seems to come out of this is that the morale, because of this, is down. And I guarantee you, Adam Copeland, just my opinion, I guarantee you Adam Copeland is looking at what he did last week and then hearing what Will Ospreay said about time, when it comes to doing promos. I guarantee you Adam Cole's looking at all this and he's thinking to himself, what the hell did I sign up for? What the hell did I sign up for? Because Tony Khan obviously promised him, hey, you come here, I'll make sure you and Jay Russo, that's Christian's real name, I'll guarantee you guys will reunite, be tag team champions. That has yet to happen. Now I know people will say, well, give it time, give it time, patience and everything. I understand that. But I'm sure he was expecting it to happen a lot sooner. It is yet to happen. It is yet to happen. And if I'm Adam Copeland, I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. Maybe when I drop this championship, I can find my way out as well. And I guarantee you if that happens, Tony Khan will probably pull the same kind of crap on Adam Copeland that he did with CM Punk. Oh, I can't let you go, I need you. He'll do it. Danielson, who's part of the disciplinary committee and helps out behind the scenes, and that's good, because I think that's one of the bright spots behind the scenes, is having someone like him. I guarantee you he's getting calls when he's getting calls on the phone, and he's getting talking to when he gets home to Briella Garcia, formerly, Briella Bella, if you will, Brie Bella. I guarantee you, he's getting phone calls from her. He's getting texts from her. He's talking to her when he's at home with her and her child Birdie. I guarantee you, she's asking him, "What the hell did you sign up for?" Because this is not what you signed up for from what I'm seeing. I guarantee you, she's probably I guarantee you, just my opinion, but I guarantee you, they're having conversations like that. And one of the things she's probably telling him is, you need to find a way out of there and head back to Connecticut. She's probably telling him that. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe he's fine, being there, and that's great. He's getting all these dream matches he wouldn't have gotten in WWE. But guess what? Now he, Adam Copeland, and some of the other former WWE stars that went to AEW because they wanted to compete, in other promotions, have that freedom. They're looking at all the news going around that Nick Khan and Triple H and The Rock want to work with other wrestling promotions in the future. That's kind of opening the door to, allow current stars on the WWE roster to do that themselves. Like, you could have, let's say, Shayna Baszler, who just did GCW. You could have her and Zoe Stark show up in Defy Wrestling and compete in a tag team, in a women's tag match. I'm sure they're hearing stuff like that and they're going like, wait a minute, they're doing exactly what we wanted to do. Yeah, and they're doing it better. It's more organized. Maybe we should try to go back there. Or maybe we made a mistake. I guarantee you, talent like Danielson, Copeland, and others that came to AEW because they wanted that freedom are seeing that freedom finally becoming a reality over in WWE and being done in a more organized way, that they're coming to realize maybe they made a mistake going to AEW. I guarantee you, in my opinion, that's what they're probably thinking. Now, especially based off of this, and everything. It's like, Tony Khan should have known better. Because now he may not even have the roster he's going to have anymore come 2025 and 2027. In the next few years, if not sooner, I guarantee you they keep pulling crap like this, and there's no way he's going to have a roster with notable talent on there anymore, because they're not going to want to be there anymore. And I guarantee you too, like I said earlier, if he's hoping to stay on TBS and TNT and get a max streaming deal, he pretty much kissed that goodbye pulling this stunt. All he had to do was just, because he likes to be online. He likes to be online. He likes to tweet. All he should have done is gone to the social media account, his AEW's, and basically refute what CM Punk said. Show the footage there. Say, take it as you will, but this is what happened visually. Here's the visual proof. Take it as you will. And then that's it. Just leave it at that. But he didn't want to. And he didn't want to. And look, WWE, was it because WWE took shots at his company? Yeah. That might be a factor too. But guess what? You can't blame them for taking shots. If you visually, and reportedly, accurately reportedly, are not proving them wrong. You can't blame them for taking shots if you're proving them right constantly. I mean, Pat McAfee coming out and joking with Rhea Ripley, like, okay, if you lose the title and you leave Judgment Day, what happens to Dom? Does he end up going, elsewhere and wrestling in front of 800 people in a, 1,800 seat arena? You can't blame McAfee for doing that. Not because he's part of WWE, is part of the Raw commentary team, but you can't blame him when the actuality of what he's saying is real. You can't blame him. I mean, you can't blame Triple H for saying what he did directly or indirectly to the likes of Will Ospreay. Yeah, could he have worded it better? Absolutely. But the thing is, I think what Triple H was trying to get across is, look, if you're not in it to be the best, if you're not in it to be the best and kind of, make that sacrifice, to, basically, grind it out, every night, or at least every other night, or every other week, then you shouldn't be in a place like WWE. You shouldn't be in wrestling, period. That's what I'm getting from it. Yeah, could he have worded it better? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the point that he's getting across is he acknowledges Ospreay's one of the best. He acknowledges Okada's one of the best. But he's also acknowledging, look, I get you want to be with your families, but guess what? We could have worked something out to where you could have been with your family, but every other week you could have been on the road doing some house shows and some SmackDowns and Raws and NXTs and pay-per-views. You could have done all that as well as have a week or two to be with your family. That's what he's getting across. Like, he would have given someone like Okada and Ospreay more opportunity, as well as have the time to be with their family as well. Kind of balance it out. But I understand, and again, could he have worded it better? Yes. And I understand where Ospreay's coming from. I do. He's a father. His kids are just growing up now, probably in the early stages. And he's young. And he probably wants to see them grow to a point that if he does take the journey to WWE, which he will eventually, that he can go and do it without worrying of leaving his kids alone by themselves, because they'd be old enough to take care of their own selves. That's just the way I see it. But yeah, could he have worded it better? Absolutely. But he wasn't trying to be insulting. He was just trying to say, look, if you don't want to, do more than what you're doing right now, and with a schedule that could actually benefit you what you want in return, then you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be in this business. To me, that's what I was getting across from it. That's what I was getting across from it. But look, you can't let WWE taking shots at you, basically get at you. Okay, you cannot let what WWE did over WrestleMania week get to you. Okay, you just gotta brush it off and say, I'm gonna prove them wrong and put on the best damn product you can. That's what you need to do. Take what they're doing as motivation to prove them wrong. But Tony Khan didn't do that. He didn't. And with all due respect to Wade Keller, Sean Ross Sapp, Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez, you want my personal opinion? With all due respect to you guys, I think honestly the Bucks and Ospreay, and I'm giving credit to Meltzer here a little bit, and Keller, I'm giving credit to both of them, believe it or not. But I honestly don't believe they wanted to do this. I believe, honestly, it was old Tony Khan. So Sean Ross Sapp, with all due respect to him, I get he's got contacts there as well, but maybe the contacts he was talking to didn't know the full, front of it, and they're just telling him what they heard. I guarantee you, in reality, I'm with Keller and Meltzer on here. I don't think the Bucks or Ospreay wanted to say those things or show the footage. But Tony Khan's the boss. And for once in his life, he's acting like a boss. Because why? Somebody made fun of his company? Took shots at his company? Because the guy he wanted in his company since the beginning, who he separated the rosters for, gave a show to, who he was basically his hands were forced to fire because of this? Basically came out and said what they did on the MMA Hour. Now he decides he wants to get, boss-like. He now wants to put his foot down and be like, I'll show them. I'll show them. I'll show them the real truth. Here's the real truth. And, Ospreay, I want you to go out there 5 minutes. I want you to shoot on Triple H. Get back at him with what he said about you. And Ospreay's probably thinking, but he didn't direct that at me, though. And Tony Khan's probably like, no, he did. Go. And I'll pay you an extra $40. Go. I guarantee you, that's what Tony Khan probably did. Now, I could be wrong, but again, I say this, in my opinion, with all due respect to those people. But I am giving credit more so to Keller and Meltzer. But it's like JD has said, and others have said, Solomon has said this. Greg Morgan, I guarantee you, said it recently on his live stream, talking about it on Good Mic Work. Or Good Mic Work commentaries. Again, Alex of Alex's World has said it. Everybody has said this. Tony Khan, it begins and ends with him, and he needs to basically let it go. OTR Central said it best too. He just needs to let it go. This is a factor, okay? It's 8 months old. It's almost a year old. Let it go. I mean, what is he hoping? Is he hoping TKO and WWE sees this and they're like, okay, Phil, we got to let you go. You're fired. And what? And then what? What's going to happen then? You know, what is he going to do? Is he going to get on his phone, go, boop, 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 boop. Hey, Phil, I hear you're free again. You want to come back to AEW? Oh, we'd love to have you back. I would love to have you back. Is that what he's hoping? Is that what he was hoping for? Because guess what? If that's what he was hoping for, it failed. It failed. Point is, Tony Khan needs help. And I'm not talking help behind the scenes, okay? Tony Khan needs mental, therapeutic, psychiatric help. That's what he needs. He needs therapeutic, psychiatric mental help. That's what he needs. Whether people agree with that or not, that's the truth. He needs psychic, mental, therapeutic help to get over this. Because this kind of stuff does not make his company look good. It overshadows what you should be focusing on. And as a result, it's going to cause you to lose out on that TV, on that media rights deal you want. And the media rights deal you're going to get is going to put you on a couple of networks that nobody barely watches at all. Even if one's going to be an old sports network, nobody's going to care about it. Because nobody watches True TV. Nobody watches Discovery Channel. And heck, if Rampage goes to the syndicated networks owned by WBD, no one's going to know what night they're on. And it's all because he pulls stuff like this. So, in closing, I agree it begins and ends with Tony Khan. He needs to let this go. He's going to cost his company everything. He's going to lose talent because of this, because they're going to want out, either before or right as soon as the contracts expire. They're going to want out no matter what he tries to offer to keep them. And he's going to cause his company to end up on networks that nobody really watches, despite them being, educational or all sports. He's going to cause his company to lose a lot. And it's going to be on him. So somebody needs to get him some help. Mental, psychiatric, therapeutic help. They do. Because this is not a good look. It's not a good look. It's gotten so much backlash now that AEW has had to turn off the dislikes on the video that promotes it. They've had to edit it out of the video, from what I saw. So, yeah. I'm telling you right now, Tony Khan, grow up. Do us a favor, grow up or get out. Because what you're doing is you're turning AEW into another Herb Abrams UWF. Believe it or not. That's what you're doing. I guarantee you right now, Mercedes, even though she's glad to get the money she's gotten, I guarantee you right now she's having second thoughts as well. Guarantee you that. And that's another thing too. This is another way CM Punk is right about him not being a boss. How can you let someone like Mercedes just not work until Double or Nothing? You've had her on the payroll since the beginning of the year. You just debuted her. She should have had a match by now, or at least some kind of match scheduled for Dynasty. She's not wrestling to Double or Nothing. It's not a good sign. Not a good sign, Tony. People say that Tony Khan's going to keep AEW around as long as he wants it because he has the money to do so. But I think what's going to happen, his father is going to basically step in and he's going to say, I'm not going to give you any more money for this company because you're not acting like a boss. And because you're not acting like a boss, I can't allow you to finance this company anymore. And I think it's time for you to close up shop. That's what's going to happen. That's something that's going to be in the very near future if Tony Khan don't get his act together and stop pulling dumb stuff like this. So, but yeah, it's just, again, I believe honestly, Keller and Meltzer more than anything. I think Ospreay going out there saying what he did towards Triple H, that was all a Tony Khan call. I don't think Ospreay wanted to do it, but Tony Khan told him to do it. He probably paid him an extra $40,000, whatever we want to call it. And I guarantee you the Bucks didn't want to do the footage, but Tony Khan said, I'm the boss. You're going to do it. And ironically, it's the only time he's ever acted like a real boss because WWE decided to take shots at him and his company. And what did he expect? He poked the bear when it came to WWE, when it came to Paul Levesque. He poked the bear. And now he's paying a price. He's paying a huge price. For every few steps forward, they just take a multitude of steps back, and that's not a good sign. It's not. He's turning this into the next UWF, and he's becoming the next Herb Abrams. So, yeah, just stupid. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on this. This is just, what do you think? What do you think is going through Tony's mind? Do you think it's because not only because of what it was CM Punk said on the MMA Hour? Do you think it was not just because of that, but also combined with the, with the company, taking shots, WWE taking shots at them and all that? Do you think it's combined with that, as well as do you think maybe it's combined with the fact that he hasn't gotten over the fact that Cody left? His hand was forced in firing, letting go of CM Punk. And do you think it's also the fact that he's not going up against Vince anymore, and now he's basically going up against the guy that figuratively has been wanting to rip his head off for what he did to NXT, causing it to move from Wednesdays to Tuesdays? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments as well as the live chat if you're watching on YouTube. And until then, guys, I am out. I'll talk to you later.